If you're trying to get your family out there just to make some memories and have some fun, but you don't want something bare bones basic, and you don't necessarily want a giant thing because you don't want to trade in your everyday driving vehicle, stay tuned. It might have a good fit for you. Welcome, everybody. Josh, the RV nerd to Bish's RV, down here at Forest River today, where they were kind enough to just pull in a big old slug of RPods for us. And this is the 200 model right here. It is a straightforward, no slide, 8-foot wide camper. RPod body sizes range all the way from 6.5 foot wide up to these 8-foot wides. But if there's no slide, they go 8 foot wide to try to give you that extra space. But it is nicely under 5,000 pounds empty dry weight with tandem axles and factory standard tire pressure monitoring. Now, we are today looking at a Hood River edition, which is the Western built RPod. For the most part, it's exactly the same, but on these you pick up a little bit higher ground clearance package with a more aggressive tire size. You also pick up a Max Air vent cover over the bathroom ceiling vent and a couple other little odds and ends. It's nothing really major. For the most part, an RPod is an RPod, whether it's made in Indiana or in Oregon. But I'll try to point out those differences as we go. A lot of builders have a floor plan like this over the years. This is, I think, a very nicely detailed one. Most of the time when a builder makes a no slide camper, they're doing everything they can to cut corners and make it as cheap as possible. And they do all the same things on this that they do on all their other models, like that acrylic front window with the absolute radiant blocker, sun blocker, and bug screen kind of combo. This does still have a heated enclosed belly. The Hood River edition also picks up holding tank heaters. There's another difference there. We still have a little mini outdoor camp kitchenette. This also has surprisingly decent campside window coverage. It's the kind of camper I think you're going to spend more of your time outside than inside, but when you are indoors, you don't necessarily hate being in there the entire time. Also has that really handy cargo bunk area in the back where you flip the bunk out and you can give this thing a kayakoscopy straight up its backside, and still has a rear receiver hitch in case you want to add a bike rack or something on the back of it. It's a small camper that it's like a 10 pounds of sugar and a 5-pound sack kind of RV. Got some hitches in its giddy up. I want to try to point out the good with the bad, and if you appreciate that, let me know what you think about it. And click the little like button on our video, subscribe if you're new with us, and let's get in there. So in my earlier floor plan stuff, I gave you a quick wide angle preview from this portion here. I don't like to do a lot of that, but sometimes in these small boxes, it helps kind of connect the dots a little bit. And I figured I'd start right from the entry door, like the Von Trapp family singers. It's a very good place to start if you know the reference. Leave me a little comment if you're picking up what I'm putting down there. Anyway, looking around this thing here, what are we looking at? We've got that big front windshield in the front. Let me actually get up here and arc around the side. Now, what's nice is if you want during the day, and this is a totally if you want, during the day when the bed is down, if you put the bed down during the day, you can make the RV look and feel a little bit bigger. Now, just for total clarity's sake, I want to mention most of your RPods have a 60 by 80 true queen. But this Murphy bed model, it's just not quite possible because of the way the bed interacts with that front ceiling panel when it's folded up. And to give you a size reference, you folks have said you appreciate when we do the full demo, so I like to do that. I have a very staunch no shoes on the furniture policy, although, now that I think about it, with this being a short queen bed, I don't know that I necessarily need to worry about that too awful much if I actually lay down right here. And I like the fact that they give us pillows to really help properly simulate this. You can see how, my little dirty, probably, socks are hanging off the edge. Now, something that is not as obvious is the fact that there are these headboard power pockets over here to kind of give you a little bit of a reference. Let me actually pull you right over here to see them. So, what you couldn't see, what I did over here, to give you the reference, I kind of shoved that pillow in there. But again, I recognize that you couldn't exactly draw much information from that. So I thought I'd actually get you over here. And one of the other reasons is because they do hide some power outlets here around the corner. So if you have something you want to keep charged up next to you, you got an easy place for it. Now, if you are laying down and you're like, I feel like I'm a little exposed here, or the sunshine is baking my scalp, remember, you can block that off. But my guess is, especially during the day, it won't be too much of an issue because this just has an easy one-hand lift and lock kind of Murphy bed system here, and then just a little basic jackknife sofa below it. Now, what is a little bit tricky is when you sit down, you have these nice household and USB outlets around you, but they also give you these nice armrest cup holder bolster things right here, so that if you want them, you have them, but it blocks the outlet. So it's a little bit of a choose your own adventure. Although, ooh, yeah. Like if you have a younger sibling, or ladies, if your husband has this bad habit of forming original ideas, you can just... And it occurs to me, I might have some rage issues I need to get worked out. I'll do that at my own time. You folks have said you prefer the full, Burt Reynolds on the bed demo like that. So I try to provide them whenever I can, whenever time allows. The side stands over here, they're nice beside the sofa. And the fact that it is a full side stand creates a better opportunity for some pass-through storage. It does make it a little bit more of a climb in the bed. Oh, hello. I'm kind of noticing that there's a little bit of a conflict with the valance and the wardrobe door here, but I hope you appreciate that if I see something, I say something. Like I always try to provide the most realistic and candid view of these things that I possibly can. I appreciate the fact that it is carpetless and ventless. Another thing I really like, this is such an underrated feature, is what I call the clutter cutter flip-flop shop. Right by the door. Just a little pocket under that dinette to put some shoes or something when you come in the door. It just keeps the dirt down. Not to mention this RV does have its own central vacuum system. That's actually one of the things that's over there under the refrigerator. You see where that little footprint sticker is? There's actually a little lever. You just flick it up with your toes and it just sucks everything in. You sweep right at it. But it also does have the full, looks like pool cleaner kit that goes with it. So if you want to get deep in those nooks and crannies, you can do surface cleaning, you can do deep cleaning, you can do it all pretty darn easily. Up top here, we have a 15,000 BTU air conditioner. And all of our cabinetry, by the way, is pocket screwed lumber core construction. I really like this extra large window they have going on here. And I squatted down just a little bit, which is killing my legs because I'm way out of shape. But notice that above that window, there's some household and USB outlets up there. What I instantly thought of is that would be a perfect little phone charge shelf where the phones are they're accessible, but they're also out of the way and they're not becoming the main focus of your family camping trip. If it is a rainy day, though, and everyone's stuck inside, sometimes having some phone stuff is useful, as is that 12-volt smart TV that we have over there. The dinette also, naturally, can fold down into a little sleeper. Is it a big sleeper? No. It's really more of a two-person seating space as well. It's not a big wrap the family around it kind of seating situation in this little camper because they wanted to intentionally leave that, the walkway between the kitchen and the dinette, they left that a little bit more open than I've seen some other brands do. So every RV's greatest asset is, in a sense, also its greatest liability. And that's why I like showcasing all these different brands on camera to help you decide which one works best for you. I really respect the fact that they actually have some very solid either pantry or potentially bunk dresser space. I could see this being a combination of the two. The black box down below that, by the way, that is your forced air furnace. It's not a centrally ducted furnace in this little camper. I don't know that you necessarily need all that. Down below the sink, little open pocket of space there. I am observing the fact that this floor plan does not have any drawers. So you're going to want to bring along a little silverware utensil organizer with you. Otherwise, that's just going to be an absolute pain in the neck. There's not quite room in here for a traditional propane stove if you want any sort of counter space. Here's what I mean. If an RV has an actual onboard propane oven, I meant oven earlier, not stove, oven, then it has to have a 3-burner stovetop because that's the only way that suppliers build them. However, if you split it like this and you go to the 2-burner dual high output instead of 3-burner low high output burner, this gives you a little chunk of counter space here. It's not massive, but it's a tiny RV, so at least they're giving you something. And that's air fryer, it's convection, it's microwave. Anything that you can cook in a normal RV oven, you can cook down there, but it opens up the opportunity for a little more counter space, as well as basically doubling your overhead cabinet storage, which is never the wrong answer. The sink here is one of those, like, some people really don't like radius circular sinks. This is one of the larger ones. They're not all the same size, and I really like that, like, hardwood kind of cutting board cover, how they allow it to be bracketed against the side right over there, which it keeps it out of the way, but also always very easily, readily accessible. We also have a 10 cubic foot family 12-volt compressor fridge. Now, the RV is not exactly level. The freezer door kept wanting to shut itself. So I grabbed the TPMS module that is included with the RV and shoved it in there. And it worked like a charm to help us actually see what we have in this space. All RPods have a 12-volt fridge, by the way. And again, that sink, you have that drop-down cover. I realized you haven't actually seen it covering the sink, and now you have. Another little thing to point out, I always like to double check the back sides of things where manufacturers probably don't expect you to look. And the fact that it's fully finished, the sink cover's fully finished even on the back side, is a nice little attention to detail. That's the kind of stuff that where's my, hold on. Kitchen power outlets. We have some outlets up top there, and then we have some outlets down here. Just always like you to know where those are at. That's those kind of things that, you know, you miss sometimes if you're not thinking about it. Now, the bunks over here actually have some really nice detail. I appreciate that both bunks have their own individual privacy curtains. Silly as it sounds, each bunk also has its own light and its own power solutions, but they're kind of tucked up here around the corner. Now, what I'm not seeing, I don't see a sticker telling me the weight rating of these bunks. I get a lot of requests. People say, can you please tell me the weight ratings of the bunks? I always look. I just don't always see a sticker, and some manufacturers don't always do the same rating on every camper. And you may have noticed they actually include a ladder to get to the upper bunk. A lot of brands do not. And of course, we have what I call the kayak-oscopy move bunk get out the way system. I know the name is ludicrous, but if you notice, you've got basically a straight shot all the way downtown on this thing right here. And if you have potentially some long kayak even type stuff, depending on the size of it, you might be able to squeeze it in here. Now, they definitely have a bit of a peekaboo, I smell you bathroom door. Part of that is due to the fact that this RV does not have central air conditioning, though. They want to make sure that that central air has a way to get into this room. The toilet over here, I was pleasantly surprised. I would describe that as fairly fluffy friendly. And really, for a small camper, this is one of the more nicely appointed bathrooms I've run into in a long time. Now, RPod's not the most expensive brand, but they're definitely not a cheap entry-level brand either. And I like how they're outfitting it, like with the nicer, what do I want to say, like bath vent fans, you know, actually giving you towel hooks and just some niceties like that. Now, if you take note, I'm a little over 6 foot tall, standing in that shower. My head's absolutely up in the skylight. There's just no way of getting around that whatsoever. But to give you a quick size reference, here's, you know, me, the same person standing in the main cavity. 6.5 foot ceiling, and I'm a little over 6 foot tall, some crazy thick soled shoes. You know, this is what I usually get right here. So I'm not in any danger of hitting my head or anything. But hey, Cousin Garrett, RV Nerd Video Editor, could you put our shower footage back up over here? Just to give you a reference, that is the extra step up that you have going from the main deck into the bathroom, because they have to run plumbing under it. And you're thinking, well, why don't they recess the plumbing into the floor? Because there's literally a chassis frame rail in the way, a big chunk of steel that you don't want them to cut out. That's why. But while we're talking about this, with no slides, this baby's always in road mode. If you roll into a campsite late at night, you don't even have to worry about like setting down your jacks and opening your slides. You can just park it, hop in, plop down, and deal with it in the morning. But what's great about these, you do not need a big giant gravedigger monster machine to haul this sucker around. And this is the Hood River edition, so the dry weight's a little bit heavier. But the sticker that I'm reading, basically the dry weight on this one is actually about 4,300 pounds. That might vary slightly from what you saw on the spec chart just now, because those are kind of more generic, probably Indiana-based weights and measures. But regardless, it's 25 foot on the nose, tip to tail. And in the heavier version that we're looking at here today, with the enhanced ground clearance package as part of the Western Hood River edition, it's still only 4,300 pounds. All in with max cargo, which, by the way, has like over 100 pounds of cargo capacity, which I think is very good for a camper this size. It's still less than 6,100 pounds total all in. So there are so many lighter to medium duty vehicles that can very comfortably handle something like this that just maybe wouldn't be able to handle a lot of other campers with this layout right here. Now, in the front area, every year, this little graphic changes. They have the little, Forest River Owners Group is known as Frog. They have a little bit different graphic going on every year. I love the space alien in the background of that. And your eyes are not deceiving you. It's not a camera trick. That fire actually has a kind of graphic that does flicker depending on the angle that you're looking at on it. Now, these are, you might notice the magnet holdbacks and the slam latches. I know a lot of people prefer those. It also just makes for a very nice, easy access to this full front pass-through compartment there. If you look in the upper right corner of the screen, a little motion light, but also a couple USB plugs. So like if you're sitting out here and you don't want to be tethered to your phone, or you got a Bluetooth speaker you want to charge up or something, even though the RV does have outside speakers, if you want to bring your own or something like that, you totally could. Now, your sidewalls, your floor, they're laminated, they're aluminum framed. Your walls do have Azdel layering directly below the fiberglass. That helps avoid delamination through a number of sources, actually, whether it's heat expansion and contraction, or just, God forbid, water penetration, aka leaks. It just helps avoid that kind of problem. These are all going to have the little outdoor kind of griddle station, and you might notice too, it's not a full-on sink, but it is at least a hot and cold little sprayer station. But what I kind of thought is over here on this side of the camper, it might be a nice way to sort of maybe rinse the kids' feet off or something if you are in a sandy, dirty spot before they go trekking through the whole RV and leaving dirty, footprints all over the camper. Now down here, the Eastern editions would have Goodyear Endurance radials. The Western editions have it's a Westlake, I think, Mud King or something like that. Something like that, anyway. Mud Legend, that's what it is. I knew it had mud something or other in there. But these Western editions, because people tend to do more boondock dispersed camping out west, they wanted to give this thing higher ground clearance. Theoretically, you could, actually, if you look at this, the axle hangers right here, you could even go another notch to give it like an extra inch and a half of clearance if you wanted to. Keep in mind, you won't change your actual axle height, but the body, the belly height, you could give a little more clearance to. But that's part of the Western Edition models. The underbelly of these will be enclosed and forced air heated. A Hood River edition that we're looking at, the Western Oregon built edition, will also have holding tank heat pads. Up on the roof, the Hood River editions also include a MaxxAir vent cover over the bathroom vent that you might have seen in our initial preview here. So that's a extra little detail to kind of keep in mind. Now you might have noticed how the cargo door off the back right here, went under the bunk area. One thing I want to point out is this has the same deadbolt as your primary entry door, and apparently I left it locked. Let's see if I can do this left-handed. I really should have, proactively hit. Hey, look at that, not too bad. So by default right here, we're in bunk mode, but we've also got the move bunk and get out the way situation. One of the reasons I want to point at it from this direction is just to give you another look at the fact that you do have, a light and some USB plugs for each of the bunks there, which is nice. I also appreciate that they gave us a full bumper and a receiver hitch on the back, so you have potentially the enclosed cargo space with the bunks, but you also have the rack on the back for adding stuff, One of the nice things here is this is a single sewer outlet camper too, so you're not going to have to do the poop scoop boogie to hook up between two different things here. Up top, we've got a 200-watt factory standard solar package, which is just a good battery tender. If you're going to do some serious off-grid camping and you want to make sure you can keep that 12-volt fridge running, you're probably going to want to expand on that solar package and get yourself a good battery bank, because the thing is, talking about solar is worthless unless you also talk about batteries. The one goes with the other. Now, something I haven't really demonstrated is the fact that, the front windshield, I don't know how else to say this other than the fact that you can flip it off, or maybe flip it up would have been a better way of saying that, but I've never claimed to be good with words. My wife will confirm that. I say something stupid and I'm like, I'll fix it with more words. And then she's like, no, you won't. But if you want maximum, absolute crazy, stupid airflow, you can get it. Here's a little bit, I kind of gave you a preview of this up front here, but this is your bug screen area, and the nightshade down here actually has that, not only does it just block the sun out, but it also has a radiant backer on it. So if you are camping in extreme sunlight, keep this in mind. This is a dual pane acrylic Euro style window up here, which has 2.5 times better R value than the best dual panes used, even in luxury fifth wheels in the RV industry. And that is before you pull down that radiant backer shade. Now, where do I get that info from? From the people who actually make the windows. Take a look at this little thing over on the left. That's a text that I got from one of the people that actually supplies windows to the RV industry. So it's, as far as I can tell, the only reliable, independent, non-biased source about window R values that you can find out there. So if you're worried about your head being too hot in the sun with that front windshield, it's a better window with a radiant backer. I gotta believe it's gonna be pretty much fine. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. I've had a chance to go through a couple RPods now. If I remember, I'll try to leave you links to those videos in the video description. I will also make sure I leave you a link to our website where you can see where we have one of these in stock and what we're asking on a given day. If we're sold out, we may only have MSRP listed, but we do not sell for MSRP. Keep that in mind. And we can ship these things right to your front door depending on what you're looking for. Don't hesitate to ask us for a shipping quote on one of these. We can always make that happen too. That's everyday stuff for us. We do it all the time. So let me know what you think. When you're ready, we're ready. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.